Good evening this day. Again, 4th of March 2020. Welcome to my live broadcast today as we continue the awareness for Nigeria disintegration and the restoration and freedom of Biafra. Thank you for joining me this evening. This is my live broadcast. The awareness for Nigeria disintegration and Biafra freedom continues. This evening, I will be talking on most of these conflicting issues for some people of Delta State who always think that when we talk about Born Black, thank you for joining me. Those of you, Nnamdi Kanu Jr., thank you for joining me. Those of you who think that Okpara Chinedu, thank you for joining me. If you have a friend who thinks that he is from Delta State and Delta does not belong to Harry Joko, thank you for joining me. Chika John Paul, Collins Eze, Stanley Mbamelo. If you have any friends who think that Delta is not part of Biafra, invite him or her to this live broadcast. Invite them to come and watch and listen to me. Today, I want to talk sense to Delta people. Those who think that that Delta State is not Biafra. I want to talk sense to you this evening. I have just come to talk sense to you before I continue on other topic or issues I want to discuss this evening. You know, as the time goes on, we are now in a very crucial moment, and most of this misconception about some certain things, it is time we begin to put them, begin to correct people, we begin to lecture people, especially those from Biafra who don't know history and who are ignorant of the history of their own ethnic group, their own nation, their own people. If you are so ignorant of Biafra, I will be taking on all of you from the so-called Delta State. Of course, I will face other states as well as time goes on if they begin to bring their own dispute or begin to have some misconception that they don't belong to Biafra. I want to lecture them this evening. If you have friends from Delta State, especially those who are using fake name, those who the Fulanis have hired to come to Facebook to use fake names to register as Biafra name, thereby after registering as a Biafra name, they will come and start telling you that the Delta State is not, that Delta State, sorry for this, they will start to tell you that Delta State is not Biafra. Invite them. I want to open their head. I want to open their brain this evening and put something that will germinate to something good and positive in their life. Thank you, William Aja, my own William Aja. See you. Thank you, Osato Richard. Thank you, my own Uche Akware. I see you. Thank you, Elijah Sobrato Sunday, for joining me. Bernard Obinna, thank you for joining me. Chukwebuka Mbaso, thank you for joining me. Obiageli Ezegbo, thank you for joining me. Thank you, Victor YJ, thank you for joining me. We are waiting for 700 viewers and we go. 700 viewers and we go. Njoku Michael, thank you for joining me. Eze Biafra, thank you for joining me. Eucheria Chukwu, thank you. May your days be long as well. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for all your good wishes and prayers. Thank you, Ugo, for joining me. Joshua Nwoke, thank you for joining me. 700 we are waiting for, and we start. invite your Delta State friends. Michael Lee, thank you for joining me. Invite those because I have made some videos a few days and it has generated a lot of things, especially those with fake profile. It is time we put them to shame. Tag them on this video, invite them on this video. Let us tell them the history, tell them the narrative that they don't know before now, that when we are calling Delta State Biafra land, it is not just, we are not just dragging and trying to force them to join Biafra. They also still have the right not to join Biafra, but it is time we put the record straight that they should know, if you are a Biafran, if you are from Delta State and you are saying publicly without shame that Delta is not Biafra, come and listen this evening. I want to lecture you. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you in a language you will understand. I want to talk to you in a language you will understand. Sorry for this. My equipment is doing somehow this evening. It is going to get better. And 700 we are waiting for. Here we go. As you are watching me, there may be a little bit adjustment in this video. So when that adjustment come, don't worry. It is just that my equipment is somehow falling off all the time. I was in a hurry just coming back from work and I needed to talk to you. This is over 700. Now we go. Those of you from Delta State, when we talk about Delta, Biafra land, you hurriedly went and make fake profile because we know no reasonable person from Delta State will come to claim that Delta is not Biafra land. But in case, for those who are actually genuine and who have real profile and they don't know that Biafra, they don't know that Delta State is Biafra land, I want to take you back to the history of Nigeria, to the history of the old eastern part of Nigeria called Biafra. Now, listen as I read. And this information I'm about to read to you is information that is publicly available. But because we understand that in Nigeria, a lot of you do not have the time or don't have the skills to do some research, at least to impact yourself with some knowledge, some history about Nigeria, about your region. So for that reason, this information, like I said, is available publicly, but for the fact that in Nigeria, everything you do in Nigeria is limited. You do not have electricity. You don't have much access to internet. So a lot of things you are being deprived. Not only that, in Nigeria schools, they don't teach history. So because they don't teach history in Nigeria school, a lot of you are ignorant of the Nigeria history. And when we begin to talk about Biafra, you will say, bring out your map, bring out your map. This is 21st century. In this modern age, of course, we are not going to force any state that don't want to belong to Biafra. But what you have to know is that if Nigeria is having a referendum today, every Biafra nation, every Biafra state is going to participate in referendum to vote whether they want to be in Nigeria or they want to be in Biafra. So, and when that time comes, all the people that are shouting that Delta State is not a Biafra land, maybe by then, if you don't believe what I'm about to read to you this evening, if you do not believe what I'm about to tell you this evening, you will know that when the time comes for referendum, it will be very clear to you. So, before I go, just one moment. Sorry. Just one moment. And I will read these informations to you, because this is not the time for stories. It is not the time for stories. We are serious, and we are stopping at nothing until Nigeria is disintegrated. So now, from the information that is available, listen to this. I'm going to read something about the eastern region of Nigeria. The eastern region. The sound is low. If the sound is low, please increase your own volume. The sound is not supposed to be low. If the sound is low, increase your volume, please. I told you that this my camera is having some issues this evening, but we are going to manage it like that. And if my volume is, if you are not hearing me, please increase your own volume. A lot of people are hearing me. I can see your comments. Most of you are not hearing me. If you don't hear me, please increase your own volume, please, so you can hear me. A lot of people are hearing me. A lot of people are not complaining. Those of you that are complaining of volume are probably in Nigeria, and the network in Nigeria is very, very bad, like we can see. Please, I want you to tell me that you are hearing my voice and that the volume is okay. Are you people having problem with the volume? Are you having problem with the volume? Are you people having problem with the volume? How is the volume now? How is the volume now? Are you having issue with the volume? Are you having issue with the volume? Could somebody respond? Thank you, Ikechukwu, for joining me from Deutschland. Are you hearing me now? You still having issue with the volume? You can hear me very clearly. Thank you very much. It can be that this whole system will be a little bit messed up today, but I promise it will not happen again. So now I am going straight to business. I'm going straight to the point. I am going straight to the point. Anybody that is complaining about volume is in Nigeria, and Nigeria don't have network. So, sorry, the eastern region of Nigeria, listen and listen very attentively. The eastern region of Nigeria was an administrative region in Nigeria, dating back originally from the division of the colony Southern Nigeria in 1954. The Eastern Nigeria was an administrative region in Nigeria in the colony of Nigeria in 1954. Its first capital was Calabar. Calabar. Are you people listening? The first capital of the old Eastern region, not just old Eastern region. There is nothing like old Eastern region. Let me just call it Eastern region of Nigeria. The capital of the Eastern region of Nigeria in 1954 is in Calabar. Calabar is where today? Calabar is, I think, Cross River State, right? Calabar is the headquarters of the Eastern region of Nigeria in 1954. The capital was later moved to Enugu. The capital of the Eastern region of Nigeria was later moved to Enugu, and the second capital was moved to Umuahia, Abia State. Did you see that? Eastern region of Nigeria, the first capital of the Eastern region of Nigeria was in Calabar. From Calabar, the capital was moved to Enugu State. From Enugu capital, which is Enugu State now. From Enugu, the capital was moved to Abia State. in Umuahia. Umuahia in Abia State. Are you listening? Now, the region was officially divided. This eastern region was officially divided in 1967. In 1967. What happened in 1967? When did the Biafra or Nigeria-Biafra war ended? And this was divided in 1967. Now, this eastern region, I am not saying old, it is still the same thing today. The eastern region of Nigeria was divided in 1967. In 1967, into 3 states, into 3 new states. This whole eastern region you see today, that you have south-south, they call south-south, and you have the one they call southeast. This whole region you see was one. And in 1967, they divided into 3 states. And that comprises the what you call south-south today, which is actually not in map. You can't see anything like that in the map, anything like south-south or anything like that. It was only 3 states in 1967. The states are as follows. You have what we call the Eastern Central States. You have what we call the Eastern Central States. You have the Rivers State and you have the Southeastern State. These are the 3 major states you have from the eastern region of Nigeria in 1967 after the war. And you should be asking yourself, after the war, they looked at how to weaken the eastern Nigeria, and they begin by dividing you into pieces so that the strength will continue to reduce, and so that the unity and peace amongst you will continue to shatter. And today they think they have succeeded. They have not succeeded. And that is why they know what they did. And now when we are looking for Biafra and separation from Nigeria, they put us to this work that Simon Ekpa is coming this evening to lecture some of you who don't know this history, especially from Delta State. Now, this is exactly the aim, their aim for dividing the eastern part of Nigeria, so that by the time we re-strategize after the war, by the time Biafra re-strategize to be doing what we are doing today, we will not only do this agitation, but we will have problem in trying to lecture and make sure we educate people like those of them that are shouting that they are not Biafran today from Delta State. So this is they succeeded in making us now to invest our time that we should have invested in dealing with Nigeria, because today I should have invested this time to come and deal and shake the foundation of Nigeria. But now I am investing this time, this live broadcast now, to educate some of you who claim that Delta State is not Biafra. And of course, as I am educating Biafra, as I'm educating the Delta people who don't know their history, this same history I'm reading about Biafra and Delta State will also touch every Ijaw people. We also touch every Ibibio person. We also touch everybody in Niger Delta, what they call Niger Delta today, because this whole thing is the same problem that we have in Delta State. I told you that the camera will be shaking, and please don't mind it. So now, after they divide this eastern part of Nigeria into 3, you have the East Central State, you have the River State, you have the Southeastern State. Now, the East Central State had its capital in Enugu. which is Enugu State of today, and which is now part of Enugu State. The region has third, fourth, and fifth largest indigenous ethnic group, including the Igbos, including the Igbo, Ijaw, and Ibibio. Are you people hearing that? Eastern part of Nigeria was divided into three in 1967 after the war. And from that division, because I'm repeating these things so that it will get into your head, those of you who come to shout, Niger Delta is not Biafra, Delta is not Biafra, Ijaw is not Biafra, and all that, so that you will know your history. And I hope this, what I'm telling you now and what I'm reading now, will go into your head. This is not something that anybody made up. This is the history of you, that because they don't teach these things in Nigeria school, you grow up with what you know. Nobody tells you. And even when this information are publicly available, but because your life, everything about you is limited in Nigeria. In Nigeria, you are limited to only eating garri and fufu and going to school that is ill-equipped, going to school without computer. None of those government school in your place in Niger Delta today has computer room. You don't have any computer room in your schools. You don't have access to internet in your schools. And it is only those who can afford to buy data that will be accessing internet. And in Biafra, what we are agitating for now, internet will be free. Internet will be free. Where I am talking to you now from, internet is free. If you go out of the street, you will be connected to Wi-Fi free of charge. You are not being charged for public Wi-Fi. And that is why when we shout about Biafra, sorry about this video, like I said, I'm going to be having some issues with the stand of this camera, but it is only for today. By tomorrow, it will be fixed, and we will continue our normal broadcast from tomorrow. So this equipment will be having these problems, and it is only for this evening, and it will be back to normal. Now, as I was saying, one moment. As I was saying, you see, the issue of the Delta State, I have the camera now in my hand, so I don't have to worry about this whole equipment that is now behaving somehow like Buhari's equipment. So, like I said, the people that you see today shouting Biafra, or that Niger Delta is not Biafra, or that Delta State is not Biafra, and what have you. Listen to what I'm telling you this evening, and you will be glad that you did at the end of the day. As a Biafran, I am fixing this whole thing simultaneously as I am telling you and educating you. I am fixing it simultaneously. That is what Biafrans are known for. We are very, very smart people, and we are very, very experienced in anything we do. So whatever situation, you will use your brain to fix it, even without having the experience of fixing anything. So now, why am I doing this? The time I should have used to educate and shake Nigeria Foundation as he continued to shake now and continue to remove Nigeria government is what I'm using now to educate you, because Nigeria government removed this history in Nigeria schools, and a lot of you don't know anything about your roots, your history. So now, I have told you today that in 1954, we have a colony, southern Nigeria, and inside that southern Nigeria, you have what we call Eastern region, and what you have today as South, South, and Southeast is one in this Eastern region. Listen very clearly. And this Eastern region, the capital was in Calabar. In Calabar. Later on, the capital was moved to Enugu. And then after Enugu, the capital was moved to Umuahia, which is Abia State. And after that, the region had third, fourth, and fifth largest indigenous ethnic group, including the Igbo, including the Igbo, the Ijaw, and the Ibibio. These Ijaw people that they are claiming now today, when you talk of Biafra, it is as if we are begging them for Biafra. You see Asaridu Kubo, who is now being used as a division, because when I listened to Asaridu Kubo a few days ago about that the amnesty is Ijaw amnesty, you know, it is really unbelievable that somebody that a lot of people in Ijaw land are looking up to will be a tool to be used to bring division in Biafra struggle. Why would Asaridu Kubo go and start saying amnesty is Ijaw, and every other Niger Delta who participated in amnesty, or who were a member of MEND, or who were once one of the militants, they are all nonsense. They don't have anything. It was Ijaw people and all that. Why would Asaridu Kubo come to start making this kind of inflammable statement when we are looking at how to bring everybody together? It doesn't worth it. It doesn't worth it. Why? The amnesty he is talking about today, trying to bring division, was set up by Yaradua, President Yaradua, of how many years ago? Asaridu Kubo in 2020 is trying to divide Ijaw nation because he see that a lot of people are lining with the Biafra agitators, and he want to start dividing them. This is Asaridu Kubo should stop, because a lot of people are looking up to him. A lot of people are looking up to him. He should stop dividing this Ijaw nation and Niger Delta, or whatever it is called. So we don't have any other thing, any other ethnic group. In those days, the majority of the ethnic group we have in Biafra land in eastern Nigeria is the Igbo, the Ijaw, and the Ibibio. And this ethnic group that I just mentioned now, you have other indigenous people, and what we are trying to do, the agitators now, is going back to our roots. We are going back to our roots. Our root is, first of all, you have to recognize that in 1954, when we were booming, enjoying our life, in 1954, you don't have anything like South, South, and Southeast. What we have is Eastern region. And that is where we are going back today. Now, let me continue reading. The region has third, fourth, fifth largest indigenous ethnic group, including Igbo, Ijaw, and Ibibio. It was what later became Biafra. Are you hearing that? This thing I just mentioned now is what later became Biafra. It later became Biafra, which was in rebellion from 1967 to 1970. And like I told you before, after the war, of course, you don't start dividing Nigeria or dividing Eastern Nigeria in 1967, because it was never effective. Even though a lot of people ignorantly from Biafra land fought against Biafra. Ignorantly. They fought against Biafra ignorantly, because the Nigeria government then divided in 1967 this eastern region of Nigeria into three. And This was during the war, for you to know what is going on. And then, of course, this division come into force legitimately from 1970. That is after the war. So now listen. It may also shock you that this Eastern region was government of its own in 1954. And it was an autonomized community or autonomized government, administrative in 1954. The day was in October 1st, 1954, and was dissolved in 27th May 1967. That was during the war. When the war started, they dissolved it. Now, listen to this. This same Ijo, Igbo, Ibibio, and any other ethnic group that made up Eastern region that is called Biafra. Biafra, which comprises Delta State, because I am coming here to talk about Delta. So, which comprises Delta State that you see today. Biafra. It later became Biafra. And the government type we had in Eastern region, we had a parliamentary republic. And we have what we called the Eastern Nigeria government. Governor then was Akanu Ibiam from Ebonyi State. Akanu Ibiam from Ebonyi State was the governor, and the premier was Michael Okpara. Michael Okpara, the Michael Okpara Square you see today in Enugu State was as a result of his contribution in this whole project. And you have what we call the legislature. The legislature is a bicameral structure which comprises of House of Chiefs and House of Assembly. And as I'm talking to you, all these things I'm saying, Delta State, Ijo land was part of Biafra. The Ibibio people was part of Biafra. This is a history. This is fact. Those of you who come in this century to say, when we talk about Delta State, Biafra land, you must not attack Delta State, Fulani must leave Delta State, Delta is a Biafra land, you will come from nowhere because you don't know your history. You come from nowhere to begin to shout Delta is not Biafra. If you have any history that is better or contradictory or contradicting what I am telling you now, go and bring it, and I challenge you anywhere. This is the history of Nigeria. This is the history of the eastern region of Nigeria, which is Biafra. This is the history of Biafra that a lot of you don't know. And I'm telling you today, you share this video to all those people from Delta State and every other place from the so-called Niger Delta or whatever, for them to know their history, because they don't know. These people maliciously remove this thing from Nigeria educational curriculum for a purpose that I am here now talking about it. For a purpose so that by the time we re-strategize on this struggle for disintegration of Nigeria, which they envisaged that it will come, which they envisaged that they will never escape, so that by the time this time comes, we will waste our time to shout and talk sense to people who don't know their history. And it is happening because I'm using my time to talk to you today. Now, when they tell you today, in 2020, the people from the northern part of Nigeria will tell you, you don't have land to become a Biafra state. You don't have land to be independent. You don't have land. You have small land. You don't. And when they are telling you this whole thing, you will be looking at Enugu State, Ebonyi State, Abia State, Imo State, and what have you. And they will say you don't have land. Listen, the total area of Biafra land in 1967 and from 1954 to 1967, the total area of what made up Eastern region, what made up Biafra, was 76,145.65 kilometers square, or square kilometer. That was the total area, and it is still the same total area. I don't know whether you can increase the land. You cannot increase the land. You cannot increase the space in the land. And that is also 29,400 square meter. And not only that, the population of Biafra in as at 1965, the population of Biafra. Now you see how I am transiting from Eastern region to Biafra. So when you hear me saying Biafra, it means that the Biafra I am talking about now is what you have today, south, southeast, which comprises of Ijo, Ibibio, and Igbo, and then other ethnic group within this region. So when you hear me saying Biafra, now I have transited from Eastern region of Nigeria to what we call Biafra, according to the history. I'm not the one making it up. Now, so when you hear Biafra, I am talking to you, Ijo. When you hear me say Biafra, I am talking to you, Ibibio. When you hear me Biafra, I am talking to you, Calabar people. When you hear me say Biafra, I am talking to you, River State people. When you hear me say Biafra, I am talking to you, Delta people who are coming on my page to say Delta is not Biafra. So you can see I have transited now. I will not be talking Eastern Nigeria again. But of course, I will continue to mention Eastern Nigeria so that, because a lot of you, it will take time for you to understand the brain behind this. So I will be mentioning Biafra and Eastern Nigeria. But now I have transited now from the Eastern Nigeria to Biafra. So now, Biafra population, which is Eastern region, as at 1965, was 12 million people. 12 million in 1965. And this 12 million was having their own government, regional government. The government was doing very fine, very well, and there were only 12 million people. Now, it will also shock you, because this is what I have come to tell you this evening. The geography of what we call Biafra, which is the Eastern Nigeria. Listen to the story and the narrative of what made up the geography of Biafra. The geography of Biafra. The eastern region of Nigeria was geographically located in southeastern Nigeria. It is bordered by Niger River. Niger River in the west, and has an administrative and cultural border with the northern region of Nigeria. To the north, our border is up to the northern region of Nigeria. Listen, it is not Simon Ekpa that made this. It is a history that you don't know. Now, it bordered the northern Nigeria. The eastern boundary lies between the border of Nigeria and Cameroon. It borders Cameroon. It borders the north. And when we talk about it borders Cameroon through what you call the Calabar side. You people know when the Cameroon people grabbed Nigeria land in Bakassi. It is the border of Nigeria. Now, not only this, from Afipo in Ebonyi State, you have a river that can take you up to Cameroon. Up to Cameroon. Now listen. The eastern boundary lies between border of Nigeria and Cameroon, and the southern coast is along the Gulf of Guinea. You see that? The southern coast is along the Gulf of Guinea. The total surface area of the region was approximately 76,000 square kilometers in 1965. Now remember, I started from Eastern region and I am transiting to Biafra. I am now telling you it is not, we are not talking about southeast, we are not talking about south-south, we are not talking about Ijo, we are not talking about Ibibio, we are not talking about Efik, we are not talking about all these things, division that we people are doing today. We are talking about this is just something that happened between 1954 to 1970 or 1967. And it is not even a long time ago. So listen, pay attention attentively. The region has a population of 12 million people, and some areas, such as Owerri, sorry, some areas, such as Owerri. Where is Owerri located? Owerri is located in Imo State today. Imo State, where the heart of Igbo land, the heart of Biafra land, where the Fulanis think they have already succeeded in implanting Afonja in our midst. Like I said yesterday, we are going to bend Hopu Zodema like crayfish. Now, the 12 million people and some areas such as Owerri and those inhabited by the Anangs. Those inhabited by the Anangs. Do you know what is Anangs? Do you know the tribe called Anangs? These people called Anangs were one of the most the densely populated places in West Africa. A place called Anangs. The Oka region was suffered from soil erosion. Oka region. The Oka, where is Oka? In Anambra State. When I am telling you these cities, there is no coronation to like Anambra State. There were no coronation like Imo State. They are telling you the history, and these cities were being mentioned because there were nothing like division. There were no state coronation. It is only city, city, and city. The region had three types of vegetation. The coastal area in the south is dominated by mangrove swamp, and tidal waterways. Further north of the swamp is the tropical rainforest. However, over a period of time, many of leafy trees of the forest were cleared for planting. This is the history of Biafra, the history of Eastern region, which is what you know today as South-South and Southeast. They were cleared for planting palm trees. In the northernmost part of the region, it is the Guinea Savannah. It is the Guinea Savannah. Major rivers of the region include River of Niger Delta, River of Niger Delta system, such as Kwaiboe. You people know the river called Kwaiboe, Cross River, Orashi River, and Imo River. Obudu Plateau in the northern eastern area, the Urban and the Ikom Hills, along the eastern boundary with Cameroon, were a few of the highlights in the region. Do you see? All the things that I'm mentioning now were within the eastern region that made up Biafra. Do you hear Delta State here? You from Delta State today, do you hear Delta State? You don't hear Delta State. Do you hear Enugu State? You don't hear Enugu State. Do you hear River State? You don't hear River State. Do you hear Cross River State? You don't hear Cross River State. Do you hear Anambra? You don't hear Anambra. Do you hear Ebonyi State? Do you hear Abia State? Do you hear Imo State? Do you hear all these things that they divided? You can't hear them. And this is the back to root. This is the root of Biafra. And this is the root of Biafra. Those of you who are born yesterday, you ignorantly come and start talking in public. Ignorantly. And you are dancing the music, the drum that is being played by Fulani Caliphate. You are dancing and dancing without shame. When we talk about Biafra, you will say, oh, that is not Biafra. When we talk, you say, Ijos, I cannot be Biafra. When we talk, you say this, Ibibo. Do you know the role played by, what is the king called? King Jaja of Opopo? Do you think King Jaja of Opopo will call himself or his kingdom that he belonged to Fulani? Do you know the history of King Jaja of Opobo? You don't know. Even that King Jaja of Opobo, you should have read it in your schools, your secondary schools. But Nigeria don't care. You have fallen victim. Not only that you fall victim, you made yourself a victim. You made yourself a victim because you refuse to learn and you don't have shame to come publicly to start shouting that Delta State is not Biafra. Delta State is not Biafra. Who told you that Delta State is not Biafra? When was Delta State created? Is Delta State older than Eastern region? We are going back to the roots. We are going back to our roots, and that is why we are changing the narrative of yesterday. After watching this video, you from Delta State, you continue to ignorantly shout, Biafra, Delta, Biafra is not, Delta is not Biafra. Then you need serious help. Because what I am telling you today is not a propaganda. What I'm telling you today, whatever that comes out of this my mouth, I cannot tread and live on propaganda. Those who live by propaganda shall die by propaganda. Whatever that comes out of this mouth is truth without any dilution. Truth, pure truth, fact. Not only that the fact is hidden, the fact is publicly available. Now, since you have known that the Biafra we are shouting about today comprises of all Ijos, all Ibibios. So Delta State is not even being recognized here. Because nobody knows that what made up Delta State. Delta State is not even in this history. Because when they just created you yesterday, and you are talking. Even when the people, when Ijo Nation, Ibibio, and all these people are talking, you will come and start making noise. You are not Biafra. Who told you? What do you know about Biafra? This is the history of Biafra. Now, let me also tell you a little bit about the colonial rule. A little bit, because I just bring my time today. This time that I should have used to remote control Brutai and his terrorist group, and to remote control the presidency like we have been doing it, I will use it now to come and begin to talk sense on you, because this is what they have done and planned for many years. So that by the time we come back to begin to agitate for Biafra, we will find it difficult. We have to first of all invest our time and talk to you to know that your history is this. Now listen to colonial rule. I did not write it. This is something that is fact. No propaganda, no lies like Nigeria government. This is the history of you. In 1849, John B. Croft, the governor of Fernando Po, became the British consul agent for the Bites of Benin and Biafra. Did you hear that? This man called John B. Croft, the governor of Fernando Po, become the British consul agent for the Bight of Benin and Biafra. You see, this whole story have now transited from eastern Nigeria to what you know as Biafra, the Bight of Benin and Biafra. Now, B. Croft was chosen to be in charge of regulating the trade at the port of Old and New Calabar. At the port of Old and New Calabar, and those at Benin. Old and New Calabar and those at Benin. And this is part of Bight of Biafra. Now, Boni, Bimbia, and the Cameroons between the residents and British merchant firm. The increase in trade within the ports led to the drive of several European firms. In European firm to build trading posts at Onitsha. You see, when all this story is being told, you are not hearing state, because there was nothing like state. It is called Biafra or Eastern region of Nigeria. Now, in the trading in Onitsha. In 1879, most of the firm merged to form the United African Company. You hear that? The United African Company. And we are given a charter to manage a coastal protectorate in 1885. Now, in 1884, the headquarters of the British agent for the Bights of Benin and Biafra was moved from Fernando Po to Calabar. And in 1889, the Oyo River Protectorate, later known as the Niger Coast Protectorate, was established. The Southern Nigeria Protectorate was formed in 1900, and by 1914, British colonial rule had established most of the administrative divisions in the Southern Nigeria Protectorate. In 1939, the Southern Province was divided into the Western and Eastern Province. Did you see that? The Western and Eastern Province. And where are the Western Province? From this Benin to Yoruba. And where is the Eastern Province? From we, the Biafras, today. During the war period, the provinces were given more power to shortage of personnel. Due to shortage of personnel, historically, residents of Eastern Nigeria had an individualistic and democratic culture. This is, you see, historically, when they say, like when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the biggest leader of the struggle of Biafra alive today, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, when he made a video, when he broadcast and was telling you people that democracy started in Biafra, that Biafra started democracy, you think it was just a joke. Listen to this. Historically, residents of Eastern Nigeria had an individualistic and democratic culture. Historically, individualistic and historical and democratic culture. To establish indirect rule within the administrative division, the British began a tendency to strengthen the powers of the traditional village head beyond their traditional pre-colonial duties. Along with the British trade, Christian missionaries also established mission bases in the region. In 1846, Revered Hope Master Weddell formed a branch of the Church of Scotland Mission. Ajayi, quarter of CMS, established a Niger division at Onitsha, and soon followed by the Catholic Church. So, what are we talking about? When we talk about Biafra, you think Biafra is just Igbo. It's just Igbo thing. Who told you that Biafra is just Igbo thing? Every Igbo man is a Biafran, but not every Biafran is Igbo man. When we are talking about Biafra, you are looking at what these Fulani people did just in less than 50 years or less than 40 years ago. How old is Delta State? How old is River State? River State that was even in the River State should be the oldest, and is part of Biafra. So my people from the Niger Delta, as we call it today, did you hear this history? Can you now see that a lot of you are ignorant? And it is and listen, when I say ignorant, it is not insult. I am not insulting anybody. Ignorant is an English language used to describe somebody who lacks knowledge of something. So when I say you are ignorant, it is not insult. Because a lot of you don't even understand most of these words. And you say, oh, that is how they do. They insult people. Sorry. You will say, oh, these Biafra agitators, that is how they do. They insult people. I am not insulting anybody. I have never insulted anybody. But what I say is that for those of you who are ignorant, and ignorant is not an insult. Ignorant is a word to describe those who lack knowledge of something. You become ignorant of that thing. So I am calling you ignorant of this, your history, that you don't know. Because if you come publicly to say that Delta State is not Biafra, or that Niger Delta is not Biafra, or that Ijaw people is not Biafra, then you are ignorant. And we are doing the job now to make sure that you come out from your ignorance, that you are educated about this particular topic that has thrown you upside down. So Biafra, when we talk Biafra, don't ask us to bring out our map. Our map is in 1954 history of Nigeria. Everything you see in public domain, the incident and as the history happened in 1954, it is what made up the map of Biafra. When we have referendum, most of you who are shouting this, that you are not Biafra, you are inconsequential. It is the people that will vote, either to belong to Biafra or to have country on their own. You are inconsequential. When Nigeria will conduct referendum for Biafra independence and Oduduwa Republic, you can choose to remain with them. But I am telling you now, as of today, and this history can never be wiped away, any day we mention Biafra, you are part of Biafra if you are in Niger Delta. Any day we mention Biafra, you are part of Biafra if you are Ijo, if you are Ibibio, if you are in the eastern part region of Nigeria, you are a Biafran. And by the time we will start the referendum and the freedom of Biafra, you may decide to pack your load and go to Northeast if you don't accept to be Biafra. Because most of you are already Muslims, you are Muslim convert, and whenever you hear Biafra, because you know Biafra is going to be free of fanaticism, it is not a religious country, you will be shaking. You rather want to be muzzling yourself with the Fulanis and the killers and terrorists because you have been converted to Islam. So you will choose to go to Sambisa Forest with your Islamic faith. But in Biafra land, it is going to be a sane country. And I want to draw your attention to some video that has been going viral today about some people in the bus. Some people that have been attacked in the bus, and they say they have killed them, or that the thing is happening in Olo in Imo State, and the thing is happening in Ebonyi State. I want to bring the attention of everybody. This video that are being shared today, as far as I'm concerned, is a fake video. There is no such incident in Ebonyi State. There is no such incident in Olo in Imo State. When you watch that video, you will find out that those people are not even speaking Nigerian language. At least not that I know. If they are speaking something else, maybe in the Jos or anything like that, it can be different. But the language that they are speaking in that video is not Igbo language. And the language is not Biafra language. And the language, as far as I know, is not Nigerian language. So those people circulating those videos do not bring panic in Ebonyi State. That is not Ebonyi State dialect. That is not Imo State Igbo dialect. The video is, as far as I'm concerned, if you claim it come from Igbo land, is fake. But if it come from other part of Nigeria that we don't know, then I am not going to totally debunk the video, because it is possible. Because you have a lot of languages in Nigeria and all that. But this video you are circulating, don't target Igbo that the incident happened in Biafra land, because it is fallacy. It is fallacy. People should disregard that video, that you have people dying in the bus. And even when you look at the seat of the bus is not the kind of bus you will see in Nigeria. That bus doesn't look like a bus that you can use in Nigeria. The seat, that when you see this kind of thing, we are expert in these things, we know. We investigate, we do our investigation, not only on ground, but we know how to do our investigation. So that bus cannot be in Nigeria. The setting and the seat of that bus doesn't look like a bus that is being driven in Nigeria. And the language they are speaking in that video, at least, I cannot totally rule out of Nigeria, but the video has nothing to do with Biafra. It has nothing to do with Olo in Imo State. It has nothing to do with Ebonyi State, because if you claim that the video is from Ebonyi State or from Imo State, then I am debunking that video. It is fallacy. It is a lie, and people should stop spreading that video. It is a lie. Nobody in Ebonyi State was killed in the bus. There is no bus in Ebonyi State that people were killed. There is no bus in Olo, in Imo State, that people were killed. Stop spreading fallacy. We Biafrans, the Biafra agitators, we don't deal with fake news. Everything you hear from us is truth. We don't peddle lies. We don't do our agitation with lies. We don't do our agitation by bringing fake videos so that the public will have sympathy on us. No, everything you see from us is authentic. Everything you hear from us is authentic, something that is verifiable with fact. Before we come public to make anything, we have verified and we have evidence and we have data. So we don't do fake news. Biafran IPOB don't do fake news. Biafran agitators don't do fake news. Everything we do is pure and truth and fact. And for this reason, I am calling people in Biafra land to disregard that video from the analysis I have given to you now. First of all, those people don't speak Igbo. Second of all, there is no incident, there is no such incident in Ebonyi State. Third of all, they don't speak Ebonyi dialect. Fourth of all, there is no such incident in Olo in Imo State. Fifth of all, the bus itself, when you look at the seat of the bus and the setting of that bus, you find out that that can never be Nigeria. Even if it is Nigeria, let them come and tell us which part of Nigeria did it happen, but it is not in Ebonyi State and it is not in Imo State. So we are debunking that video and asking the people spreading the video to stop spreading it until they come to tell us and translate the language that those people in the video are speaking and where that video was taken, and that particular bus cannot be in Nigeria. Thank you for joining me this evening. And remember, any Delta State person that talks nonsense from now on, send him this video, send her this video, and if they talk again, you send the video again. We will begin to lecture these people because they think that all of us are just carried away with this agitation, that we are overlooking them. We are overlooking them, and whenever we talk about Biafra, they will begin to say, Delta is not Biafra. Anytime they talk like that, send them this video. Tell them, after watching the video, they should bring their own history to tell where Delta come from, where Delta State were mapped out or carved out from, that make them believe that Delta State is not Biafra land. Tell them to come publicly to air where they think Delta come from. Otherwise, they should just accept and stop disgracing themselves in public. Thank you for joining me this evening. Remember, supporting Nigeria is supporting terrorism. Those of you who are politicians, who are following politicians, who are member of APC, and every time your brother talk, Nigeria is dying, you say Nigeria will be better. You are supporting terrorism, and not until you become the victim before you will understand. The people that were killed today, the 6 soldiers that were killed today in Borno State, all of them we are fighting for one Nigeria, and today they have died. And as they die today, they die for nothing. Their family members will not be remembered. Their children will not be remembered. Their wife will not be remembered. Nobody will remember him. Nobody will remember the family again. They just die. The worst death you can die in this life is to die fighting for Nigeria. Good night.